He was the kid who got rejected. The forward his boyhood club looked at and decided was not quite good enough. The player who had to take the long way round through high school football and a university degree, while the so-called golden boys of his generation signed professional contracts and chased their dreams. And now, all these years later, he is the leading scorer in one of Europe's most respected leagues. He is the man Premier League giants are fighting over. And at the 2026 World Cup, he is the spearhead of a Japan side that the rest of the planet is suddenly terrified of. A striker who was never the most hyped, never the one everyone expected to make it. A boy from a quiet city in Ibaraki who learned to score goals in a neighborhood park, kicking a ball until the sun went down, dreaming of one thing and one thing only. But to understand all of that, you have to go back to the beginning. Back to a working men's football league in Japan, and a father who scored goals. Ayase Ueda was born on the 28th of August 1998 in the city of Mito in Ibaraki Prefecture. His parents chose his name carefully. They wanted the world he lived in to be beautiful, and so they named him Ayase. It was a hopeful name for a child born into an ordinary household, far from the bright lights of professional sport. His father was a forward, not a famous one, not a professional, but a striker in a local working men's league. A man who played for the love of it after long days at work. And it was watching his father that the boy first fell in love with the game. Not with football as a whole, not with the passing or the defending or the tactics. With one specific thing, the goal. From the time he was 3 or 4 years old, Ueda was obsessed with the moment the ball hit the net. He did not see football as a team sport in the way most children do. He saw it as a goal-scoring sport, a game whose entire purpose, whose whole reason for existing, was to put the ball in the net. And the man who did that, the man who scored, was the most important person on the pitch. There is a story that has followed Ueda his whole life. The moment, as a young boy, when he watched his father score a hat trick in a match. 3 goals in a single game. For a small child who already worshipped the act of scoring, it was like watching a god at work. From that day, he had a goal of his own. He wanted to score more than his father. He wanted to be better than the man who had inspired him. So at the age of 6, he joined his first team, the Yoshidagaoka Football Club in his local area. And his obsession only deepened. He began watching foreign football with his father, and it became a daily ritual. The two of them in front of the television, studying the great European teams of the mid-2000s. The Barcelona side that played football like art. The AC Milan team that ruled Italy. Ueda watched it all. The major leagues, the World Cups, the European Championships. He devoured every match he could find. But here is what made him different from the millions of other children who watch football and dream. His father was also his coach. And his father did not just let him watch, he made him think. While the games played out on the screen, his father would ask him specific questions. Not about who won or who scored, but about the process. How did that goal happen? What movement created the space? What run pulled the defender away? Why did the striker choose that exact moment to shoot? Ueda was being taught to see the game the way a striker sees it. To understand goals not as moments of magic, but as the end result of a sequence that could be studied, learned, and repeated. His childhood club only practiced once a week, on Sundays. For most kids, that would have been enough, but it was nowhere near enough for Ueda. So he filled the rest of his time himself. After school on weekdays, he would go to the local park and kick a ball until it got dark. On Saturdays, he and his father would practice shooting together. His father would feed him pass after pass, and Ueda would react to each one, take a muddy touch, and fire the ball into an empty goal. Again and again and again, building the muscle memory of a finisher one repetition at a time. By the 5th grade, he had joined a dedicated football school to sharpen the technical side of his game. One-on-one situations, 2-on-2, close control in tight spaces. The kind of detailed individual work that separates a good young player from a special one. Everything was pointing in one direction. This was a boy built to score goals. And then came the moment that should have broken him. When the time came to take the next step, Ueda tried to join the youth academy of the Kashima Antlers, one of the most successful and prestigious clubs in all of Japanese football. He had come up through their junior setup. This was supposed to be his path, the natural progression for a talented local boy. And they turned him down. He failed to make the youth team. Think about what that does to a teenager who has dedicated his entire young life to one dream. The club he loved, the club he had grown up around, looked at him and decided he was not good enough to be one of their elite prospects. For a lot of kids, that is where the story ends. That is the moment the dream quietly dies and they go off to live a normal life. But Ueda had something else. He had a man who believed in him. His name was Masato Suzuki, a coach at Kashima Gakuen High School. And where the academy scouts saw a player who did not quite fit, Suzuki saw something specific and rare. He saw a striker with a genuine sense for goal, an instinct for scoring that simply could not be taught. Suzuki wanted him badly, and he recruited Ueda to the school personally. What happened next was unusual. Most coaches try to make a young player well-rounded. They want him to defend, to track back, to contribute to the team in every phase. Suzuki did the opposite. He told Ueda to focus on one thing: scoring. Nothing else mattered as much. He drilled into him the idea that a striker's job was to put the ball in the net, and that he should be able to do it from anywhere, with his right foot, with his left foot, with his head. And during those high school years, Ueda's body finally caught up with his ambition. He shot up to 182 centimeters tall. Suddenly, the boy who had always thought like a goal scorer had the physical tools of one too. He could climb above defenders and attack crosses. He could finish with power. He could bully people in the box. There is one moment from those high school years that tells you everything about who Ueda was becoming. In a prefectural tournament, his team was losing by 4 goals. The game looked dead. Ueda came on as a substitute in the second half, with the match already slipping away. And he scored 4 goals. 4. He single-handedly dragged his team back and won the game. A 4-goal comeback, off the bench, in one half of football. The kid Kashima rejected was turning into a monster. But his path was still nothing like a normal one. Because instead of signing professional terms at 18, like the most promising players do, Ueda made a decision that almost no future star ever makes. He went to university. In 2016, Ueda enrolled at Hosei University in Tokyo and joined their football team. To outside eyes, it might have looked like a player accepting that the very top was beyond him, choosing education as a safety net. The Japanese university route is respectable, but it is not the fast track. The genuine elite, the can't-miss prospects, do not usually spend their late teens in the college game. They are already in the professional ranks, learning their trade against grown men. But for Ueda, university was not a retreat. It was the launch pad. Away from the pressure of a professional academy surrounded by coaches who let him develop at his own pace, his talent did not just survive, it exploded. His goal scoring at Hosei was so good, so consistent, that he did something almost unheard of for a university player. While still a student in his junior year, he was called up to represent Japan. Not the youth teams, the senior national team, a college kid sharing a training pitch and a dressing room with the country's established professional stars. And it gets more remarkable. In 2019, Japan sent a young experimental squad to the Copa America in South America as an invited guest nation. They were thrown in against the giants of the continent, and there, among the future of Japanese football, was Ayase Ueda, a university student earning his first taste of senior international football on one of the toughest stages in the world. The boy Kashima had rejected was now wearing the shirt of his country. And suddenly, the very club that had said no came calling. In February of 2019, it was announced that Ueda would be joining the Kashima Antlers, the club of his childhood, as a designated special player. The original plan was for him to finish his studies and make the full move in 2021. He would keep playing for Hosei in the meantime and join Kashima properly down the line. But Ueda's rise was happening too fast for any plan to keep up. His national team call-up changed everything. By July of 2019, the decision was made to bring him in early. He retired from the university team and joined Kashima ahead of schedule. In his own words, he said he had done everything he could do at Hosei. It was time for the next step. The rejection had come full circle. The club that had once told him he was not good enough now wanted him so badly they could not wait. He made his debut for Kashima Antlers in July of 2019, coming off the bench late in a draw against Urawa Red Diamonds. And the following month, in August, he scored his first professional goal in a victory over Yokohama F. Marinos. The university kid had arrived in the professional game, and he was doing exactly what he had been built his whole life to do. The goals kept coming. In 2020, he scored 10 league goals in the J1 League. In 2021, he raised it to 14, becoming Kashima's top scorer and one of the leading marksmen in the entire division. He did that despite missing nearly 2 months of the season with a groin strain. When he was on the pitch, he scored. It was that simple. Then came 2022, and Ueda truly announced himself. He started the season by scoring a brace in Kashima's very first official match, and he never stopped. By the middle of the year, he had become the top scorer in the entire J1 League. The numbers were staggering. The year before, it had taken him 21 matches to reach 10 goals. In 2022, he needed just 16. He was getting sharper, faster, more clinical. He was outgrowing Japanese football. Europe was watching, and in July of 2022, the move came. Cercle Bruges, a club in the Belgian top flight, signed Ueda on a multi-year contract for a fee of around €1.5 million. It was his first step into European football, the test that every ambitious Japanese player dreams of and dreads in equal measure. Belgium is not the glamour of England or Spain, but it is a proven proving ground, a league that has launched countless careers toward the very top. And the adjustment was not instant. Ueda made his debut in a defeat, and he had to wait until his 6th game to score his first goal for the club. For a finisher used to scoring at will, those early weeks must have felt like an eternity. A new country, a new language, a new style of football, and the goals not coming. But once the dam broke, the flood was unstoppable. Before he left to join up with Japan for the 2022 World Cup in November, Ueda had already scored 8 goals in 18 games, including a brace and a man-of-the-match display in a thumping win over Charleroi. And when he returned, he just kept scoring. He finished the regular season with 18 league goals, making him one of the highest scorers in the entire Belgian league. Across all competitions, he ended the campaign with 23 goals in 42 appearances. A man inside the Cercle Bruges coaching staff described him as a complete striker. Strong finishing, combined with pace, agility, an unusually good leap for his size, and real physical strength. In a single season in Belgium, Ueda had gone from an unknown Japanese import to one of the most coveted young forwards on the continent. But in the middle of that breakout season came a moment that would haunt him. A moment on the World Cup stage that did not go the way he dreamed. In November of 2022, Ueda was named in Japan's squad for the World Cup in Qatar. It was the realization of everything he had worked for since he was a boy watching tournaments on television with his father. And he got his chance. He made his World Cup debut, starting Japan's second group game against Costa Rica. It did not go well. Ueda struggled to make an impact on the match. The service was poor, the game was tight and scrappy, and he was unable to impose himself the way he did week in and week out in club football. At halftime, he was substituted, and he never appeared at that World Cup again. Japan, who had stunned Germany and would go on to beat Spain, lost that Costa Rica game to a late goal, and Ueda watched the rest of the tournament from the sidelines as his country was eventually knocked out in the round of 16 by Croatia. It was a bitter taste. The biggest stage in the world, and his moment had passed him by in 45 frustrating minutes. For a player who measured his entire worth by his ability to score, the World Cup had given him nothing. That disappointment would sit with him, and it would take nearly 4 years and one of the most patient chapters of his career before he got the chance to rewrite it. In August of 2023, Ueda took the next big step. He signed a 5-year contract with Feyenoord, the famous Dutch club and reigning champions of the Netherlands, for a fee of around €8 million. He was handed the iconic number 9 shirt. The manager who brought him in was Arne Slot, a coach whose stock was rising so fast he would soon leave for Liverpool. Feyenoord was a major upgrade. A bigger club, a more demanding league, Champions League football. This was Ueda stepping up to a level he had never experienced. And here is where his patience was truly tested. Because at Feyenoord, Ueda did not walk straight into the team. Standing in his way was Santiago Giménez, a Mexican striker in red-hot form who was scoring goals for fun and who the club simply could not drop. For much of his first season, Ueda was a substitute, a backup. The man who came on to chase a game or close one out. For a player who had been the undisputed main man at every club he had ever played for, this was a new and uncomfortable reality. He made his Feyenoord debut as a substitute. He scored his first goal in a big away win at Utrecht. He made his Champions League debut against Atletico Madrid. But he was not the star. He was a role player, scoring just a handful of goals across that first campaign, learning a new league while watching someone else lead the line. There were rewards, even in the patience. He came off the bench in the cup final and helped Feyenoord win the KNVB Cup, the Dutch equivalent of a major domestic trophy. The following season, he won another piece of silverware, scoring his penalty in a shootout as Feyenoord lifted the Dutch Super Cup. He was collecting medals, but he was not yet the man everyone in Rotterdam talked about. And then, just as he was finally starting to earn more starts in the 2024 to 2025 season, just as the door was opening, his body betrayed him. He suffered a hamstring injury in a match against Ajax that ruled him out for the remainder of the calendar year. The momentum he had spent so long building was gone in an instant. Another setback. Another test of the patience that had defined his entire career. A lesser player, a less stubborn man, might have started to wonder if it was ever going to happen for him at the top level. He was approaching his late 20s. He had been a backup and an injury victim. The brilliant goal scorer who tore up Belgium felt like a long time ago. But everything Ueda had ever been through, every rejection, every long way round, every patient season had prepared him for what came next. The 2025 to 2026 season was the season Ayase Ueda became a star. With Giménez gone and the path finally clear, under the management of the Feyenoord legend Robin van Persie, Ueda was unleashed as the undisputed number 9. And the man who had waited so long did not waste a single second of his opportunity. The goals came in a torrent, the way they had in Belgium, the way they had at Kashima, the way they had in that empty goal in the park all those years ago. In December of 2025, in a single match against Pek Zwolle, Ueda scored 4 goals in a 6-1 rout. 4 goals in one game, just like that high school comeback all those years before. That haul took his tally to 18 goals in just 15 matches, the best scoring run of his entire career in the Netherlands. He was not just scoring, he was destroying defenses, and he did not slow down. Ueda finished the 2025 to 2026 Eredivisie season as the top scorer in the entire league, with 25 league goals, around 26 across all competitions. The overlooked kid, the backup, the injury victim, had become the deadliest finisher in Dutch football. The whole of Europe took notice. Clubs in the Premier League began circling. Everton, Brighton, Leeds, even reports linking him to Liverpool. Suddenly, the man Feyenoord had paid €8 million for was being valued at 3 or 4 times that. His playing style was exactly what the modern game craves in a center forward. He is dangerous in the air, scoring a remarkable number of his goals with his head, a throwback to those high school sessions where his coach told him he had to be able to finish any way possible. He is comfortable with both feet. He makes intelligent, well-timed runs into clever positions. He can hold the ball up and bring his teammates into play. He is explosive over short distances. He gets fouled constantly because defenders simply cannot handle him cleanly, and he is a genuine threat from set pieces. Observers compared him to the kind of powerful, aerially dominant, hard-working striker that any top team would want leading the line. Everything had finally come together, and it could not have happened at a better time. Because waiting on the horizon was the tournament that had once given him nothing but heartbreak. The World Cup. The road to the 2026 World Cup told you everything about how far Ueda had come. In Japan's qualifying campaign, he was not a passenger or a hopeful squad player. He was the spearhead, the leading goal scorer for the entire national team. He opened the qualifiers with a hat trick against Myanmar and added a brace against Syria, and by the end of the long qualification process, he had scored 8 goals, more than any other Japanese player. Every time Japan needed someone to step up and find the net, it was Ueda who answered. The man who had been substituted at halftime in his only previous World Cup appearance was now the focal point of his country's attack, the player his manager built the entire forward line around, and the name opposing defenders circled before every match. At every stage, the easy thing would have been to accept a smaller dream. To settle, to decide that the very top was meant for other people. But Ueda never did. He carried that one simple obsession from his childhood, the obsession with scoring goals through every setback and every detour, and he refused to let it die. There is something almost old-fashioned about him. In an era of teenage superstars and instant fame, here is a striker who arrived the slow way, the hard way, brick by brick, goal by goal. A player whose entire career is proof that being overlooked early does not have to mean being finished. That the timeline does not have to be perfect. That if you are stubborn enough and good enough at the one thing you were born to do, the world eventually has to make room for you. His father, the man who scored the hat trick that started it all, the man who fed him passes in the park and asked him to think about how goals are made, gave him more than a love of the game. He gave him a way of seeing it. And every time Ueda rises to meet a cross or threads a flick through a defense or drives a low shot into the corner, you are watching the end result of thousands of quiet repetitions and one unbreakable belief. The kid from Mito who just wanted to score more goals than his dad has scored at a World Cup. He has led a major European league in scoring, and his story is not over. Whatever happens next, whether Japan's run ends against Brazil or carries them somewhere no Japanese team has ever been, Ayase Ueda has already proven the only thing he ever set out to prove. That he belongs, that he was always good enough, that the rejection at the start was never the end of the story, only the beginning of a much better one. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise of Ayase Ueda, do not forget to like and subscribe for more football stories like this one. What's your favorite goal scored by Ayase Ueda? Tell me in the comments. Until next time.